Hey there hunters, and welcome back to the Gunners Guild. Again, in Remnant 2, we're going to be doing the how to find everything in the DLC video like we've done in the past, just so it's all in one place. This guide will be on how to obtain everything in the DLC besides the corpse shop items, because those are random, so you're just going to have to kind of RNG find those on your own. And the last 3 prisms we have not fully found yet, so we're still working on that, so please stay tuned. And then the last little caveat here is due to how the third DLC works, and because the area is actually so open and free, I'm not really going to be able to organize this video to do it in like order of acquisition like I did before. So this is just going to be kind of zone by zone, and you're just going to kind of have to find it. So we do have a spreadsheet though. Again, just check that out. We're going to be filling it out. It's not quite perfect yet, but we're working on it. But pretty much every item besides the last 3 prisms is documented. Feel free to check that out in the description below. But with that out of the way, let's just go to the item hunting and starting with the overworld items. Alright, so we're going to start with the Breach Accelerator. This is a simple item you can get nearly right away. You're going to take the first glider across the big valley, and then on your right hand side you're actually going to see it as you're passing by. So you're just going to have to land there or go to the ledge here before the geyser at the start, and then just run around and grab it, and then you can go back up and continue on to Narud. The Disaster Converter. This is another fixed drop on the overworld. You can find it at the start of the new map right before you board the platform and fall. But this actually only appears after you've saved Narud, so after the world boss, so keep that in mind. Just remember to come back and go check it out. Security Half Measure is the final fixed ring in the overworld. This is on the inner ring, or overworld 2, which is also called the Wasted Necropolis, I think. If you're coming out of the boss zone, you're going to be just taking your glider out to the right side, and then just kind of follow my path here into this little cubby, and it's just inside here next to an elite. The next 2 rings in the overworld are actually from the Hanging Robot. You're going to need to collect all his parts to reassemble him. There is a head, which you get at the start, and then you have 2 arms to find on Overworld 1 and Overworld 2. The first one's pretty easy to spot. As you're flying down from the quietest overlook, you're going to see a red corner with a ghost and some webs in there. Pretty easy to spot. Go in there, kill the ghost, arms in there. Easy. The second arm is in Overworld 2, the inner ring, on the bridge in the middle. So you're going to need to work your way all the way down the bridge, and it's just basically at the end, it's going to be sitting there right as the bridge breaks. Last piece of the robot is the memory core, which is at the bottom level of Overworld 2, like almost all the way down to the liquid. It's on a small little platform. So the memory core comes in 2 states, blue or red. It's going to default to red, and it's basically an evil and a good core. If you go back to the robot at the repair shop checkpoint, you can return all his parts. If you give him the red or bad core, he will turn into an aberration and drop the charged wounds mutator as well as the shield alternator ring. If you give him the good core, he will give you the spirit alternator ring, and I do think you need to do this to finish Spark's questline for a bunch of items, so please see my video on that. So make sure you keep that in mind as well. The only amulet found on the overworld is the relay device, which can be found right at the start of Overworld 2 or the Withering Necropolis. Simply take the glider by the Custodian and head down below the ledge in front of you. Once you're there, you should be able to see a little broken cliff, glide over there, and it's just right there on the corpse. Now with all the overworld rings and stuff out of the way, let's get into our weapons and armor. So we're going to start with the Scythe and the Detonator mutator. You can get this easily in Overworld 1 by taking one of the first gliders here in the agronomy sector and going underneath the area to this little hidden valley where the aberration is already waiting for you. Kill it for the mutator, and then make your way up to the elevator to unlock a shortcut and pick up the Scythe at the same time. The Warden's Armor is in the inner ring, or second overworld, and you can find it by running straight out from the checkpoint and catching the glider, and then taking it right down to this platform. Inside will be some enemies, and the Warden Armor is on the rack inside to the left. This is also where you're going to want to talk to Spark after finishing the world boss. To get the Warden's Engram for the archetype, you can go back to the same glider point and head around the right hand side of the mountain, pick up the air geysers and continue up until you get to this little lip and this little outcropping of the mountainside. Go inside here and then go left across the bridge and continue on until you get the Engram. We're going to be back here though. But also in the same area, you can get the Genesis bow. Now to get this, we got to do a bit of time travel. So first you're going to need to set your clock ahead 1 hour. Again, ahead. Stay online because the puzzle actually isn't active if you're offline, which makes me think that this is intended. Then we can head back to the same gliders if you're going to go to the Warden archetype. And after you take that first air geyser, you're going to need to turn around quickly and make your way over to this ledge instead. You can drop here and head inside and take notes of the symbols, and just take a screenshot. But then you're going to have to quit and put your time back 1 hour, or back to normal time, and head back to the same room. The code here at the bottom is going to be what you screenshotted it an hour from now. So the only way to solve this puzzle is by going forward in time, because there would be no other way to know what the code's gonna be. So time travel puzzle, I guess. But anyway, punch in the puzzle, and then you're gonna get your Genesis bow. For the repair tool in the Latent Heart, you're actually gonna have to roll this Naru DLC overworld in an adventure, and that one isn't the one shot, so it's gonna be a randomized one, because you're going to need the 2 memory cores from the dormant Nerudian facility as well as the Terminus End train. It's the same as the memory cores that were underneath the Custodian back in any other Naruto adventure, but here it's, at the beginning of this overworld. Now, once you get your cores in, you can unlock the 2 gates if you have them both, if they rolled, and you're going to get the repair tool and the relic. Last thing to do on the overworld is getting the Preserver trait. To do this, you got to activate the 3 garden pylons, 2 of which are easy to find in the first overworld. Just you come across the first one almost right away, just make sure you touch the console and kill the ads. Second one's a bit further down across the map. Now the final one is on the inner ring in Overworld 2. For this one, you're going to have to go again to the same path as if you're going to go get the Warden archetype or your Genesis bow. Take the glider right side around the mountain, and then go back up inside this little cavern entrance here. But rather than go left and across the bridge, you're going to go down into the plants and then make a right. Now across this way is the final pylon. You can activate it here, kill the enemies, and then you're going to receive the Preserver trait. Okay, that's all the overworld items. You're still going to want to deal with Spark though, and I do have a separate video up for that, so please check that one out. Spark's got her own quest line. Now let's get into the injectables. Now of course these dungeons and injectables were fixed in the one shot, so everything here is going to be the same as everyone else's, at least the first time around, but otherwise I'll make notes if they're not. So let's start with everyone's favorite, the Stealth Security Injectable. Now the Stealth Injectable is really difficult, and in order to get both rewards from this, you're going to have to make your way through it on your first try without ever getting seen. If you get caught and have to reset, only one door will open and it will give you the bypass primer ring. Now if you manage to get through on your first try, you also get the burden of the protector ring. In order to do this easily, I found that turning off your flashlight and slapping on the hunter stealth skill makes this very easy. You can almost run through it without even worrying. Just don't get too close to the robots, but you can pretty much run right by. Next injectable is the Garden in the Tower map. This injectable, you will find a crop sample in the middle of the Arboretum, and you can take this sample and go down the elevator where the Quantum Memory Amulet is. You will have your choice of planting this on the left or red side, or the right or blue side. After planting it, finish the dungeon, then come back in, similar to the ribbons in Losum. If you planted the seed on the red side, an aberration is going to spawn and give you the Repercussion Mutator. If you planted it on the right side, you're going to get the Gossamer Heart Relic. You can also use this crop sample for 2 other items which we will discuss later, so yeah, you're going to need this one a lot. Final new injectable is the Overload Injectable, which you can get access to by shooting the exposed cable with a shock of anything. You'll notice it because the reticle actually turns red like you're targeting an enemy. It's just going to be outside a door here. Now inside here, you're going to see various other cables that can carry electricity to different doors. Now, I know you're supposed to follow some certain path and shock certain cables and open certain doors, but all I did was turn on Havoc form and hold down tickle fingers and run around the entire room, and eventually both the doors opened. Sure, there's probably a proper way to do it, but Havoc form works. So there are 2 rewards to collect here, the Short Circuit Amulet and the Combat Shield Generator Ring. Moving on to the dungeons. Now, outside the corpse drops and the injectables, the 2 dungeons that contain bosses are the Detritus Foundry and the Mucid Terrarium. So those are going to be your boss mods. Nothing else is exciting about those dungeons, it's just injectable, corpse drop, boss. Now, side dungeons that contain puzzles, let's go over those. First is the logistics bridge, and I really like this place. The first item up for grabs here is the Brazen Amalgem. You can get this by jumping across the first 2 sets of train cars, past the middle area where the enemies are, kill everything and such. But before you cross to this last section of trains here, look to the right and you're going to see a ledge. Jump down here and hope you land, and you'll be able to get to the amulet. Continue on to the checkpoint, and then past that is going to be the aberration that drops the Hypercharger Mutator. And you're also going to need the key he drops too, so you kind of have to do this. Keep going until you get to the last section of trains before this big ring area. And now I think you're meant to actually come back to this after you're done with the dungeon. You can actually make this jump here and get back up, and this will let you cross the gap and get the Phetyr Armor early, and then you can just turn back around and continue on over the ledge, and it's actually just quicker. For the Siphon filter ring, it's really easy. Just move up and clear all the way to the back section of the train cars. There's going to be a little hidden ring in the right hand corner. Easy enough. Just shoot the jar before you make the jump and just go in there and get it. Then you can just finish up the dungeon, just go to the back, you're pretty much done anyways, and you can pick up the burden of the Excavator. Next side dungeon is the Stagnant Manufactory, which contains the gas chambers. And here you're going to need to break the purple gas pipes to proceed through without dying. Luckily, you don't have to do anything while you're doing this event. You can just go through, kill enemies, and make your way safely to the end. Be careful though, because there is a corpse drop purple in here early on, so make sure you do grab that, but that can get you killed. That's like the only thing. Once you're done with this, you're going to get the Perception trait. Now once you're done, you can actually just go backwards and come back through even though the gas chamber is still full, but this will allow you to collect the release valve. Now I used Havoc form since you can't vomit in Havoc form, and that allowed me to teleport through the area to drop down to this hatch here. You can then go through the tunnel and then back up and make your way to the top to the amulet. Now afterwards, you can also come back to the entrance of this gas chamber room, and the door to the right is going to be open now, which will spawn the aberration that grants you the Superheated Mutator. And that's basically everything here. Last side dungeon, the Anathema Wek. This is a simple puzzle that you'll need to do twice. Normally you could just go up the pillars, kill the enemies, make your way to the top, touch the console, finish the event, and this will get you the Echo Chamber Amulet. Now when you're done, you can also make your way down the elevators, but in the middle section, where there's 2 elevators, you can actually let one go up and reveal a hidden path below. Continue down this path and you can get the Ion Rod for the Shielding Shot mod. Now, you're going to have to do this again to get the Stabilize reward. You can do this by continuing up to the first raised level, and then find the group of pillars that go up and back down. All the pillars are in groups of 3, but this one's 4, so it's pretty easy to spot. You can take the outside pillar down right above the chest that's at the start, and down here you can grab the glyph that's got to go up to the top console. Head all the way back up the top and finish the event by putting in the glyph first, and this will net you the clear halo ring, and you can also get the Insulator Mutator from the aberration that spawns here. Okay, so last section of items. You can fight the final boss and get up to 3 rewards depending on how many of the bosses you killed. Now on the map, you're actually going to see the links between the bosses that can weaken Alepsis Tora. If you kill no bosses and run right to Alepsis Tora, he's going to be fully powered and will grant you the Monorail long gun. If you kill only one boss, and that means kill the boss and then go talk to the core and power him down 1 stage, he will then give you the trait Insight. Though there may be a bug here because I got it when I killed both the bosses and talked to both of the cores, and then some people did not, so I don't know what's going on here. Datamine info says only 1 boss is supposed to grab it, not 2. I got it on 2. Anyway, if you kill 2 bosses and talk to both the cores and weaken Alepsis Tora fully, he's going to get you the melee weapon. Once you're done with the final boss, go talk to the Custodian again. He's just going to off himself and give you the Custodians Bastion ring. You can now also finish Spark's questline. Back at the ward, you can also get the Black Iron Greatsword by talking to Brabus after you've purchased all the normal weapons and finished the game and made Alpha and Omega. He will hand you the iron, which you can then take to McCabe, and after waiting like 20 minutes or so, just a few zone transitions, she'll turn it into the Black Iron Greatsword. And then the last section, we have some items that we need to get outside of this direct DLC zone. Starting with the Insepid Talon. This is the toenail of the One True King that requires you to do a hitless run on the big man himself. Not too bad, any difficulty should suffice. Next, we have the Chef Medal. If you give the crop sample to Dwayne at the ward, he's going to brew you a new concoction, the Numbing Agent. After talking to him again, he's going to give you the medal. Don't worry though, you only have to wait like 1 minute this time. It's not long, trust me. Then we have the Cessation Bulbel. This requires you to go to the back of the root plant that was added in the ward during DLC 2 and give it the crop sample from Nerud, as well as Nimue's Blood-Marred Vow. Now after doing so, you will need to equip some items to talk to it. And there appears to be a lot of combinations of items that are going to work. You don't have to have a very specific set. You can do such things as being Invader and Summoner, wearing their full sets of armor, having their Profane Soul equipped, having Alpha and Omega equipped, stuff like that. Don't need to do all of it, but a full armor set, some others should suffice. We've done it with 2 people on 2 entirely different setups. So equip some of the Rudy gear and talk to it, and it's going to thank you for dooming the earth, and then you're going to get to ask it 1 lore question as a reward, and then also you get this amulet. Lastly, we have the Phantom Pain Ring, and this can be purchased from Reggie after doing the boss rush. I'm actually not sure how it spawns, if it's random or you need to do a certain number of bosses, or if it's just a drop in the mode and then you get it for all your characters. But yeah, it drops in boss rush and then you just buy it from Reggie. And that should be everything in the DLC besides the new corpse drops added in the other biomes. Again, please check out the list for those and where to get those, and the last 3 prisms. So check out the spreadsheet and we're going to get that updated ASAP. Spark items and the Redeemer are also on their own videos, go check that out. But yeah, that's going to be all for me. Thank you all for watching. Good luck out there, hunters. Stay tuned for build videos and such.